Welcome back to TrackTalk. You know, every now and then you hear a story that sticks with you for years. A story that changes the way you see a man, a musician, and even the history of country music itself. And today, I want to share one of those stories about Elvis Presley, because what I'm about to tell you is something most folks never hear. Most people talk about Elvis like he was lightning in a bottle, something rare that flashed once and disappeared. But the truth is, he was more than a spark. Elvis Presley was the matchstick that lit an entire generation of musicians, country, gospel, rock, rhythm, and blues, all of it. And I never fully understood just how deep that fire ran until an old Nashville musician shared something with me many years ago, something I've never forgotten. He told me he was there the night Elvis stepped onto the Grand Ole Opry stage back in 1954. Now, if you know your country music history, you already know this part. The Opry crowd didn't quite know what to make of him. He wasn't smooth like Jim Reeves. He wasn't polished like Eddie Arnold. He didn't fit neatly into anybody's box. He came out there with that guitar slung low, that little half-nervous smile, and a sound nobody had heard before. Half country, half rhythm, half something from another world, all mixed together in a 19-year-old boy. But here's the part they don't tell you. Backstage, after the show, and while the crowd was still buzzing and some folks were scratching their heads, an older musician walked up to Elvis, put a hand on his shoulder, and said something that changed everything he told him. "Son, what you're doing is bigger than you know." Elvis didn't understand it yet. Nobody did. Not even the Opry. But that old musician, he'd been around long enough to spot a spark when he saw one. And he told Elvis something I had never heard before. Country music's been waiting for you. Not you're too wild. Not you don't belong. Not go try rock and roll. No, he said. Country music needs somebody who can break the rules without breaking the heart of the music. And that's exactly what Elvis did. He didn't come to destroy country music. He came to expand it. Suddenly you had a whole generation of kids, farm boys, ranch hands, small-town dreamers, picking up cheap guitars because they heard that voice on the radio, because they saw somebody who wasn't polished, who wasn't perfect, but who felt every note like his life depended on it. Waylon Jennings said Elvis made him want to play. Johnny Cash said Elvis opened the door for his sound. Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, all of them have said that if it hadn't been for Elvis, they might never have picked up a guitar. Even the gospel world felt that tremble when Elvis opened his mouth. That little moment backstage, that simple word of encouragement from a man whose name nobody remembers, set off a chain reaction that shaped the future of music. And you know, when I heard that story, it hit me in a way I didn't expect. Because all of us, somewhere along the way, have had somebody who believed in us before we believed in ourselves. Somebody who saw something in us that we didn't even recognize yet. For Elvis, it was that old musician backstage at the Opry. For me, I've had a handful of people in my life who gave me that spark, that nudge forward, that moment that changed everything. Maybe you have too. Elvis wasn't trying to be the king of anything. He was just trying to be Elvis Presley. But in doing that, in being real, raw, honest, passionate, he opened doors that every country singer after him walked through. He didn't just change rock and roll. He didn't just change gospel. He changed the heart of country music forever. So the next time you hear That's All Right, or Blue Moon of Kentucky, or one of those powerful gospel tracks he poured his soul into, remember this story. Remember that it started with a young man from Mississippi, and one quiet voice backstage telling him, "What you're doing is bigger than you know." And that simple truth still echoes today. Thanks for listening. This is Track Talk, where every track tells a story.